seriously, I can't believe we got her out. And the fact that they survived, I didn't think we'd get a dog out.
6 days after the Magnolia landslide that knocked a house off its foundation, we have remarkable news coming in tonight. We're learning that a dog that was trapped in the rubble all this time survived. Let's get over to Preston at the live desk with this pretty amazing update. Preston?
It is so incredible, Mary. Last Friday, Air 4 was live over James and Dee Dee Fritz's home after it was knocked off of its foundation because of a landslide behind the house along Perkins Lane in Seattle's Magnolia neighborhood. Now, both were hurt. Both are now doing fine. However, they thought their dogs were gone forever. Sammy, though, the dog, you can see here, found alive, trapped behind a refrigerator. She was in a small space just big enough for her and surviving on rainwater. Neighbors say they heard some whining and knew they needed to call someone.
We've been coming the last couple of days to see if she was alive, and we were drilling holes in the floor with a stethoscope through the floor and trying to listen for movement or breathing or heartbeat or something, and I didn't hear anything. And then we got a little cry this morning, and I didn't hear anything once the fire department showed because all the saws and everything were so loud, but we just took apart the entire floor and we pulled her out. It looks like she had just enough room to survive, so she wasn't crushed by anything. It doesn't look like she was punctured, or she had just a tiny little bit of room, and I guess she was surviving on rainwater the past couple days.
So some incredible and very happy moments for that family there today. Unfortunately, though, the family's second dog didn't make it.
Good news. Tonight, White Pass is now back open after a specialized contractor had to remove this massive boulder. The DOT tweeted out this video. A slide left the boulder sitting 125 feet above the roadway, forcing the pass to remain closed. WashDOT says contractors placed 2 airbags beneath the big boulder and inflated the bags, causing it to fall down that slope and break apart. Meanwhile, Stevens Pass is finally back open to traffic after it was shut down for a week. Heavy snow and debris from landslides forced that closure. The avalanche danger slowed down the clearing work and reopening. This is welcome news for drivers along Highway 2. The reopening of Highway 2 is welcome news for the whole town of Leavenworth. Tonight, it's still digging out from the winter blast last week that dumped feet of snow and prompted the mayor to declare a state of emergency. As KOMO Steve McCarran reports, there's still a lot of work left to do.
Well, Highway 2 is open tonight. It is wet, but it is clear. But you can see on the side of the street is where that snow is still piled up feet high. And tonight, crews are still digging out some of the side streets that are still covered with snow. Call it the Great Leavenworth Dig Out. Jay Hager shovels the parking lot across from his Leavenworth hotel, hoping to clear a few more spaces ahead of what's expected to be a busy weekend.
Oh yeah, much better, yeah.
Business getting back on track along Front Street after a winter blast that blanketed the town with feet of snow over a span of 2 days last week. The snowbank still piled high around Cynthia Kelly Hill's home.
I think this is probably the third biggest snow I've witnessed in my 66 years of being here.
Members of the Washington National Guard left town today after checking on about 1,000 homes over a 2.5-day period. And business owners like John Kinsey's drove over from the west side with their own equipment to help out. Leavenworth's mayor declared a state of emergency, largely so the city could get help from several private contractors to move all the snow. You can still hear the constant beeps from front loaders as they scoop big piles into dump trucks and haul them off to several sites around town. They hope to finish tomorrow.
We build for snow, but not 4 or 5 feet of it and not with rain on it.
Mayor Carl Flory hopes a break before the next winter storm will help melt much of what Mother Nature left behind. Sure, it snows here, but even this is a lot for Leavenworth standards.
Good thing that didn't happen in December. That would have been disastrous because we're busy all the time.
Steve McCarran, KOMO News.
Right. The state's hospitals say they could really use the help of the National Guard, and they could, because they're being so overwhelmed by the COVID display here, that they really could use the help of the Guard. And today the governor came through and said he is sending in the National Guard troops to help with testing and day-to-day operations at 8 of the hospitals across the state. Teams will help with testing and heading to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, Tacoma General, Providence, St. Peter in Olympia and Richland, and then another Guard group will go to help non-medical duties with 4 more hospitals: Providence, Everett, Yakima, Wenatchee, and Spokane. Now, it's 100 Guard members in all, but in Oregon, the governor is calling there for 1,200 Guard members. Well, we asked, why not Washington?
We've been heavily committed to this pandemic, along with a host of other missions, to include fighting a couple of wars overseas for quite some time. And most of our soldiers and airmen were so heavily committed, they had just returned to their civilian jobs, whereas other states did not commit their National Guard early in this fight. And so we have to try to balance our commitment to respond to needs here within our state with our commitments to our civilian employers.
When you do activate a guard, if you take a teacher out of a classroom, now all of a sudden maybe this, the classroom doesn't have a teacher. If you activate them and they work for an airline, more airline flights get canceled. So you do have to balance these things. We think this will be helpful to hospitals, and I'm glad we can do it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Preston Phillips from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and Western Washington. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.